And we are live. Welcome to the video, which I've labeled Just Connect. I want to talk to you about just doing it when it comes to networking. A lot of you are not networking because you don't know how, you feel like it's not actually going to help you, you feel like you're bothering people, there's imposter syndromes coming into play, you don't have a structure, you don't know what you're doing. So, this live is specifically created today so I can tell you what to do and I can answer some of your questions. I've also done a live on LinkedIn recently, and I've generated some questions that I'm going to answer in today's live on YouTube. I've left some links in the description where you can get a free job report. You can also get a free interview analysis by How to Job, which will go into detail about how you can actually get better in interviews and have a much better process networking. So that is going to help. So the first thing I want to speak about is ad notes. You do not use ad notes if you're watching my videos, or you probably are starting to use them, but you haven't done them before. Ad notes on LinkedIn allow you to send messages to people you don't know. You get about 20 of these per day, and you can reach out to people who you can kind of find by the general search on LinkedIn. So if you've got a dream company, if you can see someone who's a hiring manager, if you can see someone doing the job, if you can kind of find somebody who you feel is a decision maker, you can connect to that person using an ad note. Now, your ad note is your knock on the door, right? A lot of you are using in-mail messages and you're going into way too much detail in those messages about why that person should connect. I use the door knocking analogy in a lot of the content that I create. So let's say if you want to get someone connected to, or you want someone to accept your connection, let's break down the analogy as if you're knocking on a door. You're going to knock on a door. That's your first step, right? So normal knock, like, or you're going to use a baseball bat. Now, I personally would knock on a door, as I'm sure you would as well. But why am I using the analogy of a baseball bat? Because majority of messages on LinkedIn, especially in-mail messages, sound like baseball bats. Hi, name. I'm really passionate and I really want to work in your company because, I'm really passionate about spreadsheets and I really want to do this and want to do that. Okay, that's great, but you're using a baseball bat trying to get a connection. If you knock, it's very simple. Like, hi, name, I can see you're the hiring manager. Would be great to connect. That's your knock, right? Let's say they accept your connection, they open the door, then you provide context. So, providing context is asking an intelligent question. You cannot say, hey, I want to get a job. Here's my resume. Please hire me. You cannot say that. That doesn't work that way. But what you should do is you should ask a question. That question will get an answer some of the time, not all the time. Let's say 30 to 40% of the time, you should get people at least responding back to your messages. And you should probably get about 30 to 40% of people actually accepting your ad note in the first place. And if you do this correctly, let's say you reach out to 20 people, 30% of 20 people is 6 people. 30 to 40% of 6 people is 2 or 3 people who are responding to you every single day. So imagine every single business day, Monday to Friday, you have 2 to 3 people responding to you in your target companies. Like, you cannot go wrong doing this, provided that you are genuinely asking the right questions and you're genuinely realistically going to get that job. So for example, if you want to be a surgeon, a brain surgeon, but you don't have a medical degree, probably going to be tough. I don't recommend just ad noting trying to get networking. It's good to network, but you have to be pretty realistic. If you want to be an astronaut, I wish you all the best. I'm not going to be the right fit for you to give you that advice. Hope that makes sense. So we have the ad notes, and this is a little public service announcement that you have to just fucking do it. Okay. You just have to connect. There are way too many people. And just to give you some context, I speak to about 50 people a day. So I have a really interesting viewpoint to tell you what the majority of job seekers are doing. And I don't just speak to like data analysts, I speak to architects, senior data analysts, business analysts, SDRs, account managers, machine learning engineers, like everybody. I speak to about 50 people a day. And what really is interesting for me to share with you is that these people, when I say these people, everybody, does not connect to enough people on LinkedIn. They do not connect. And I'm sure you're not connecting to enough. If you could connect to 20 people a day and you do that for 5 days, that's 100 people, 30% conversion, that's 30 conversations. If you've got 30 conversations connected to the job search that you are having such a tough time with just traditionally applying, you are putting yourself in a much better condition of communication, responses, engagement, where real decision makers actually know you exist. Half of the battle right now is attention. I mean, we're living in an attention economy. The person that gets the attention gets the opportunity. The same thing with job search. If you have the attention, you have the opportunity. So if you're amazing at, let's say, a data analyst position, you have the experience, but you haven't had an interview in 3 or 4 months, it's because you are not getting attention. So for you to get attention, you need to connect to more people. More people need to know that you exist. If you are amazing, but nobody knows about you, you are amazing and also invisible. I hope that makes sense. And it's super important for me to tell you that, because if you're not connecting, if you're not speaking to people, you're just applying. And then there's an ATS system, which is an applicant tracking software that is literally designed to generate opportunities for mass filter applications. So 1,000 people apply, and then out of 1,000 people, one gets offered the position. That's a 0.1% chance. That's awful. That's really bad. And that's the ability that you would have if you just apply. So you have to connect. That has to make sense. I'm just going to check my camera because I think something's happened with it. Give me 1 second. I think we're all good now. Yeah, there we go. Right. The joys of going live, guys. Equipment just stops working. So hopefully that didn't stop any of the stream. Okay, so if you are just connecting, you're playing lottery. We've covered that. Ad nodes actually give you the ability to connect with more people. Really important. But what happens when you get in your own way, which the majority of you do? You're kind of thinking, well, what if, I'm not good enough? What if I'm wasting somebody's time? What if they don't want to speak to me? And this is where imposter syndrome comes into play. Now, imposter syndrome, everybody gets it. If you're a graduate with no experience all the way up to a CEO and everyone in between, you most likely have had some form of imposter syndrome, which is, am I good enough? Should I be doing this position? What if they find out that I don't have enough experience? What if in my last role, I kind of embellished the truth a little bit? Look, you have to have a fine line between being super honest about your experience and actually positioning your profile to be attractive. So there is a fine line between overselling yourself. And a lot of people oversell themselves in their job search, but the symptom of that is like, hey, I've kind of oversold myself a little bit too much. Or worse yet, you start to feel guilty about the fact that you've sold yourself to a high level. Like, you've answered every question properly. You've explained where you want to go in the company. You've explained the career progression. And then you start to feel like, damn, these people might find out I'm not actually that good. And it's a normal feeling. Like, imposter syndrome happens to the best of us. So you have to manage the fact that you are selling yourself. You're not overselling yourself saying, hey, trust me, bro, I can do the best job ever. Like, I'm the best since sliced bread. You're not saying that. And I hope you're not anyway. But let's assume that you actually do sell yourself to a degree and you start networking. And then you think, well, hang on, what if I get that imposter syndrome when I network? And if you do send messages like, I'm the best ever, then it's very easy to fall into that trap. But if you position your networking in a form of curiosity, which is moving away from, hey, I'm amazing, to, hey, I want to find out if I'm going to be the right fit for the role, you start eliminating imposter syndrome with every single message you send and every single reply you get. So if you send a message to somebody and you're genuinely curious about if you're going to be the right fit, if the company culture is going to be the right fit, if you can explain, if you can find out if your soft skills are going to be the right fit, or if you can actually see yourself working in that AI startup, or if it's more of a scale up, or if it's more of a blue chip, and then you ask genuine questions and they reply. Every genuine reply you get about what they're looking for will start to eliminate that imposter syndrome. And again, it goes back to just connecting to more people. The more people you connect to, the more you chip away at all of these inhibitions, all of these little self-sabotage things you do. you might think to yourself, and a lot of the questions I have are from people who are like, hey, Milo, I don't want to bother people. Imposter syndromes comes into that, where it's very, and by the way, ask some questions in the question comment. I'm more than happy to answer them. But when it comes to imposter syndrome and not bothering people, these things go hand in hand, because then you think, okay, well, I don't know if I'm good enough. I might look really good on my LinkedIn profile. My resume looks really good. And plus, I don't want to bother people. That's an amazing combination to stop you from networking. So let's start eliminating that by asking curious questions like, hey, I want to know if I'm going to be the right fit. I want to know if I make an application, will I, from your perspective, be the right fit? Let's say you're a data analyst and you ask the head of data analytics, and let's say they respond. You have some form of frame control to be able to carry on that conversation on a real basis. Let's say the head of data analytics says, well, we like experience, but we want to make sure people actually gel with the team really well. So we look for empathy, communication, and teamwork. That's our hiring schedule. Yes, we like experience, but we want to know that you're not going to leave after 3 months. We want to know that with the basis of AI being a thing, we want to make sure that you're going to stay. And then you bothering people starts to get chipped away, and your, imposter syndrome starts to get eliminated, because you're actually speaking to real people. They're responding, so you're not bothering them. And also another thing, when it comes to LinkedIn is designed to be social. I mean, it's a social media platform. You sending messages to people is what the app and platform is designed for. So for you to feel like, hey, I don't want to bother people, it goes against what the actual platform is made for, and it goes against why people are on there. So you kind of you're the only one feeling that, by the way. People, if they don't want to speak to you, they'll either block you, they won't respond, they'll ghost you, they'll ignore you. And let's be honest, if you're applying in this market, you're already used to that. You're already used to being ghosted and ignored. What's a message going to change about you not getting a reply? Okay, you might feel like, I bothered that person, I haven't replied. But what if you get a good reply from someone you have thought about bothering? You have sent that message, you have asked that question, and they've replied and they've answered like, yes, good question, here's an answer. By the way, you have a great profile. Then all of a sudden you start to think, well, hang on, that was all in my head. And this is the public service announcement from me to you that it was. You have been getting in your own way, especially when it comes to feeling like you're bothering people. And networking can make you feel that way. But the cure to that symptom is getting responses. Like, think of the win you will have when you get a response. You get a response to a question you've asked. They've said, great question. They've answered your question. And then you get this like really warm feeling in your stomach, maybe even butterflies, where you think, wow, this is working. I am actually speaking to people in my target company or my target audience, which is great. So that's the imposter syndrome. I don't want to bother people. Fine. These are very easy things to get rid of by just doing it. Again, just fucking do it. Just connect to people. Just speak to people. Connect to them and start asking intelligent questions. Now, if you ask questions in your networking journey which sound like, hey, any jobs? And if you've seen any of my videos, excuse me, if you've seen any of my videos, you know that I use this as a benchmark to eliminate you asking crap questions. And your crap questions are actually the biggest issue. Because if you say something like, hey, what's the day today like? They're just not going to respond. Then you're going to feel like imposter syndrome creeps back in. Then you're going to feel like you're bothering people. So it's like a self-fulfilling loop of just crap networking. So we want to eliminate that. Intelligent questions are questions that make you seem different from the rest of the crowd. So I want you to imagine that everybody else is asking basic questions like, hey, any jobs? Hey, are you hiring? Hey, any jobs? Like the same questions pop up to these people. What if you ask something that's easy to answer, which is, when hiring people with minimal experience, do you focus on this particular question, or do you focus on, this particular soft skill? You want a question that's so easy to answer that it just makes complete sense to give you a response. Like, hey, when it comes to hiring data analysts, do you focus on AI nativeness, or is it specific to soft skills of dealing with the team? Like, it's an interesting question. It's intelligent as well. It's not, hey, any jobs? Now, when you get an answer to that, you generate people coming back to you with a specific, genuine response. So yes, we look for people with soft skills. Oh, great. Which soft skills are the top three from your perspective? Leadership, communication, and empathy. Fantastic. I'm so glad you said that. That's something I have. Could we have a meeting? Like, it could be as easy as this, but the imposter syndrome, the basic questions, and the not bothering people stops you from doing it. Now, let's think of a few other intelligent questions, because companies, when they hire, you want to think in terms of hiring filters. Hiring filters are, again, the soft profile, which is, again, soft skills, company culture, personality traits. So think of like your USP, unique selling points. You want to think about work style. So are you looking for a hybrid position? Are you looking for a remote position? Many of you I speak to, let's say outside of major cities, let's use London for an example. You might be in Reading. You don't want to commute to London that many times in a week. So you're looking for a hybrid role or a remote role. You then want to be able to sell the fact that you are good at self-motivation, you're good at timekeeping, and you're motivated, because if you're doing a remote role, you need to be motivated to wake up in the morning, have a really good discipline / routine, and be able to actually do the job without too much micromanagement. Companies, by the way, a little hack, companies that seem like they want to micromanage, i.e. Amazon, they don't want you to do a remote role. They want you in the office. And if you're looking for a remote role but want to work for Amazon, you need to really break down why you want to work for a brand name, and if that is a good match. So that ties into your questions, which ties into the title of this live, which is, again, just connect. You want to connect. If you need help with knowing how to connect, links in the description. There's 2 links I've added. One for the How to Job website. Here we will create a free job report for you. You can book a consultation call with the team, and you can actually find out how you can stick out from the crowd and how to actually connect with a real strategy that actually generates real opportunities for you. So that's something I definitely recommend. Another link in the description we have is Interviewly, which is our software that literally will analyze the way you interview. This isn't ChatGPT. This isn't a random AI. We have our own engine, and it's basically all the data that we have and all the people that we've helped. You do an interview, 12 questions. Once you complete it, it gives you a dashboard. It will show you how confident you sound, how correct your answer is, where you can improve in real time, and 24 data points that will analyze how good you are. Think of you knowing how good or bad you are in an interview. You have a baseline. It just makes sense, right? So this is something you definitely want to have a look at. It's completely free to use, by the way. You get 1 free interview. If you want more, you want to schedule a call with us, and then we'll give you like a specific plan to see where your interview level is and where you need to be. You might be in an interview process right now. We've had a ton of people from JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, Deutsche Bank, who are going through intense interviews using Interviewly and just dominating their scores. They started off at 60% success, and they went up to 75 and then 82. Once you get to 85% success, by the way, on our Interviewly app, you are interview ready. And the amount of people that have had interviews turn into offers because they've done 10 interviewees, they then literally said, I would not have had this offer had I not used it. So it's free, link in the description, preferably after this live, by the way. Use that, because that will just help you. And it's good to use on a Sunday. You know, everybody else is relaxing. If you're on this live, by the way, thank you so much. It's pretty early on a Sunday morning. And you are here when other people are sleeping. So good on you. Anyway, so we've covered ad notes, how to use them, how to send them. So you get 20 a day. We've covered imposter syndrome and actually feeling like you're bothering people, which you are not, by the way, as long as you're being polite and direct. Another thing, I've talked about this on a previous live, when you're being direct, it's easy to conflate directness with being rude. Like if you ask someone for 5 minutes of their time and you're direct about it, they are more likely to say yes, and they'll more likely respect the fact that you're being direct. If you're beating around the bush, like, hey, I was wondering, if maybe not today, but maybe tomorrow you might have some time. If you want to, you're just wasting time. People are busy; they do not have time for that. So you want to be direct, and that is a good thing. Intelligent questions. The more intelligent the question, the more respect you will have from someone who is above you in the station of the corporate realm. So if you are a business analyst, if you reach out to a senior business analyst and you ask an intelligent question, something that is not like, hey, any jobs, you will be respected. And that respect will generate time from that person to you. And if you have time with them, you can then ask them for a meeting, and that meeting can turn into an offer. or a recommendation. So that's what you want to do. So we covered I don't want to bother people. Another thing that I want to speak to you about is right now we are 1 week away from June. And June is a really interesting month because it's kind of like the final push before the summer holidays. If you start to network in July, and there are people I speak to, by the way, who've told me, like, Milo, I'm going to come back to you in July. I want to just relax for a little bit. That's fine. You can come back to me in July. I will not be recommending the same style of networking as I am in June, because in July, half of your battle is going to get the attention of people that you can so easily get in June. So June is like a final push before the July holiday craze. Decision makers, head of HR business partners, CEOs, CFOs, COOs will go on holiday, right? Depending on the company you're going for, depending on the decision-making level that you're targeting, these people have booked their holidays. They're off in July, they're off in August, and they're coming back in September. You have a wipeout of 60 days. So you have the next 30 days to make a difference in your job search. Start reaching out to people from tomorrow. If you're new to my content and you're learning about networking and how important it is, start tomorrow, Monday the 25th of May. Reach out to 20 people. Ask questions. Your ad notes need to be simple. Hi, name, I can see your job title. Would be great to connect. Get an acceptance. Ask a question. Ask about the hiring protocols. Ask about soft skills. Ask about company culture. Think about hiring filters. Why do companies hire people with less experience if they're a better fit for the team? Because they don't want you to leave. If you have good teamwork and empathy and you're adaptable and you're AI native, are you going to have a better chance? Yes. Talk about it. Ask questions that lead down the road of that conversation. Super important, super interesting. So do before July, 30 days. Think of this as pressure that I want to add to a point where you need pressure in your job search. If you are relaxed, if you're thinking, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll take a week, I'll just take a week off and then I'll start properly. I just need to look at a few more YouTube videos. Fine, but start tomorrow, because a week is more expensive for you to lose. The average job seeker spends 11 hours a week applying for jobs. They spend another 10 hours a week trying to network. That's 21 hours. If your hourly rate is $30 an hour, you have wasted upwards of $600 in that week by taking a week off or doing things incorrectly, or worse yet, doing things the way you did before, which is apply, wait, and hope for the best, nothing happening. And in most cases, some of you that I speak to, it's been like, oh, it's been 2 months I've been applying. Oh, no, wait, it's been 8 months. 2 months and 8 months, the difference between that is so massive. And you not knowing is because you are so relaxed in your job search that you're just going to do it tomorrow. You're going to do it next week. And before you know it, 6 months goes by. That's 6 months of lost salaries, 6 months of time, 6 months of a promotional pathway. I did another video that I would like you to check out, which is the cost of job search, the hidden cost. On average, people spend $35,000 in lost income and salary and time over a 3 to 6 month period, depending on the role and depending on the salary, without noticing. Think about that. That's like a down payment on a mortgage. That's like 4 or 5 amazing holidays in a year if you've got time to take them. But you're bleeding money because you do not have the pressure. You don't have a application tracker. By the way, application tracker, a little bit of a plug. Go on the HowToJob.io website, fill in the job report form, completely free. We will show you how to track your applications much better. Anyway, so that's due before July. Companies are posting less jobs. This is a point that I want to talk about more in June, especially. So we got a lot of content, and there's a campaign specifically about the internal job market. Companies are spending less money and time posting jobs. They are having the same problem that you are, which is I'm applying, I'm not getting a call back. Companies are posting, they're getting thousands of people. They select 5 to interview, they hire 1, they hire the wrong person, they leave after 3 months. And this is happening, by the way. People are leaving jobs because they don't want to do them anymore. And they're not the right jobs, and they're desperate to get a position. And then they realize it's the wrong position. They were lucky enough by the gods of the lottery of job applications to get a job. Then they get the job, and then they leave after 3 months because it wasn't the job that they wanted. And then a company thinks, well, why are we posting jobs? We're just getting the wrong people. Not only are we getting so many thousands of people applying, when we do select the right person, they're just the wrong fit and they leave after 3 months, then we have to do the whole process again, which is super expensive and takes so much time. That's another 3 months of application, another 6 weeks of interviews. And it's just, we're spending so much time and money, and it's a loss for everybody involved. So not great. So why am I bringing this up? Companies are posting less jobs, which means that they're going more internal now. They are asking their employees, hey, who do you know that would be a good fit? Who have you spoken to? Who have you engaged with? Who's asked you good questions? Who's connected to you? Okay, the connection part might be a stretch in terms of them asking, but you get the gist. You want to be in that conversation, because the more you're in that conversation, the more likely you will be recommended. If there's less jobs being, applied to, or less jobs being posted, that means that more people are going to have to be receptive, because their companies are asking them to keep an eye out of who's connecting and who's speaking. So that's a big one. That's a campaign that I'm doing in June, which is talking about the internal job market, hidden jobs. They say 80% of jobs are hidden. That was 2-3 years ago. Right now, the majority of jobs are going to be internal, because job adverts do not work. They don't work for you. They don't work for companies. Companies are inundated. They're moving to social recruitment. Social recruitment means LinkedIn is your best friend. LinkedIn needs to be a place that you spend a lot of time on. If you spend a lot of time on LinkedIn, you will speak to people who have decision-making ability, who can recommend you, refer you into roles. So you need to do that. Right, okay, Q&A time. So I have some questions from people on LinkedIn. So I have 4 questions that I want to cover, which are based on this video. And some of these things I have kind of covered, but I'm going to go into more detail about them. So if you do have any questions, there is a message box right there. Ask them, I will answer them. Connect with me on LinkedIn as well. Ask questions. I'm more than happy to speak to you, connect with you, do what needs to be done to help you in your job search. Now, we have a question by Rohan. Rohan, thank you so much for connecting on LinkedIn, by the way, and asking this question. How many connections can I make? I'm assuming you're asking how many you can make per day or per month or per week. LinkedIn has an unwritten rule where you can connect to 20 people per day, 100 a week, 400 a month. That is the rule that I stick to when I'm giving this advice, because what has happened many times is people go over the 100 and then LinkedIn says, hey, you're reaching out to too many people, you're going to be restricted. And then they restrict you for a week, which is a week that is very important not to be restricted. You want to reach out to 20 people a day, and you ideally want to put like a Google Sheet together. So every person you attempt to connect to, just add them onto that Google Sheet. Once you hit like 19, I would say stop at 19 just to be extra safe. Or if you don't have a lot of time, just give yourself a target of like 15 a day. 15 a day, Monday to Friday. You can reach out to 75 people to 100 people a week, and you will be fairly safe. I wouldn't do it on Saturday or Sunday. I think that kind of confuses a lot of people because they forget when they've done it. So just keep it business days, Monday to Friday. Monday to Friday, nice and easy, no issues. You can track it, super simple. So 100 a week, just go up below that. Let's say 95. If you really want to push, like 95 would be good. 75 if you don't have a lot of time. A lot of you are busy, so I know this could be like one of those things where it's like, well, I don't have time to network and job apply. I would prioritize networking with a hint of applications right after. I'm going to do another video on how to structure your application process / networking, how to manage your time, because this shouldn't be taking more than 45 minutes a day to reach out to 15 to 20 people a day. So hopefully that answers your question, Rohan. And again, I appreciate your connection and your follow. That was done during this week, so I appreciate that. Next question we have from Julia, also on LinkedIn. Julia, thank you for this question. Do I need premium? You technically do need LinkedIn Premium. A year ago, if you asked me, I would have said you can kind of stick to the 20 connection per day limit without premium. Nowadays, LinkedIn is changing their algorithm. They're changing the way they charge people. They're changing the way they get people to utilize their services. So they know there's a lot more job seekers than there were before. So they will start clamping down on you needing premium. Premium for a job seeker, you are paying, depending on where you are in the world. If you are in India, you can pay around, I think, $4 a month for LinkedIn Premium Job Seeker Edition, which if you are in India, we have a big base of students and content viewers from India. You guys have it super cheap in terms of LinkedIn Premium, so you can do $4 a month. In the UK, I know it's around £11 a month if you do 2 months of LinkedIn Premium. Again, not expensive. You don't need to do like £100 a month or $100 a month. In the US, it's $15. So use it for a month. You technically just need to do this for a month. If you connect to 400 people and you use premium, just do that for 1 month and then start going into the group of connections you have. So 400, you get Julia, you get your premium, connect to 400 people. Let's say your 30% conversion, that's 120 people, right? Quick math. 120 people to have conversations with. There's going to be an interview in there somewhere for you, right? There's going to be an offer in there somewhere. That's the way I think of it. If you really take it seriously, you will have many meetings and many interviews from that process, providing that you're looking for a organic role. So again, if you have no experience and you want to be a brain surgeon, I will not be telling you the same numbers in terms of conversion, but if it's a organic type of position, you definitely can do that. Next question is from Uma, again on LinkedIn. Uma, thank you for the connection. I know we connected about 2 weeks ago. How do I not bother people? So I've kind of covered that in this video, but I'm going to go into more detail about it because it's a big subject. People tell me, Milo, I don't want to bother people. How do I make sure I don't bother them? If you send messages that you think are safe, you will bother people. What do I mean by that? Hey, any jobs? Hey, are you hiring? Hey, here's my resume. Can you go through it? Hey, I want a job. That's how you bother people. That is a masterclass in bothering people. Do not do that. That is the best way to get blocked, to get ghosted. So that is not what you want to do. So Uma, you want to ask intelligent questions. You want to make sure your connection, your add note is super simple. So super simple add note. And then the step 2 has to be an intelligent question. If your intelligent question is any jobs, firstly, not an intelligent question. And it's very easy to bother people like that because they get a lot of those questions and they just won't respond. But if your question is something specific to your profile, I work with a lot of international job seekers. And when I ask international job seekers to ask intelligent questions, I genuinely say, you want to ask a question that's specific to your case scenario. Hey, as an international job seeker, when your company offers sponsorship, what is the key metric of success you look for? Very specific, intelligent question for that type of job seeker, right? So somebody will then answer that and they will give you a lead to generate, meaning they'll answer it by saying, well, when we hire people who need a sponsorship, we want to make sure they're going to be the right fit for the team. So company culture is our key metric of success. Great. You carry on the conversation. Intelligent question gets attention. Once you have that attention, you generate more of a conversation to then say, okay, well, tell me more about that company culture fit. What is it? What's the specific aspect to what that could be, or how that works, or what does that actually mean for you? And you just carry on the conversation. And the good thing about this is this will eliminate any, because it's a good question, by the way. You've asked a question, which is, hey, I don't want to bother people, which basically means you might be suffering from imposter syndrome or not bothering people because you don't feel like you're worthy of their time. Uma, you are worthy of their time. I promise you that. And you want to be able to position it in such an intelligent way. So imagine stopping someone on the street and you say, give me the time now. They're going to say, okay, no, and then walk away because they'll think you're crazy. But if you stop someone on the street and you say, hey, just a quick question, sorry to bother you. Do you have the time, please? They'll answer your question. So it's how you appear. It's your first impression, right? So that's super, super important. Hopefully that makes sense, Uma. Last question we have is from Jack. So Jack, will it get easier to job search? Jack, thanks for connecting, by the way. I hope you are on this live. You told me you would be, and I really appreciate it. And I've just had a like, so I'm assuming that's from you, Jack. Will it get easier to job search? That's the wrong question, Jack. And I don't think the answer is what you're going to expect. I can't say it will be easier, it won't get easier, it's going to get harder. The job market has evolved. It's just a different market. Previously, in the 90s and the early 2000s, you would have applied for a job with a resume. Like, if anyone's on this live, have you ever walked into like a department store or a shop and you had a printed resume? I remember when I was 17, I used to go into like bars, even though I legally could not work in those places. I had a resume and I was like, hey, any jobs? So kind of broke my own rules there. But that was back then, which is you had a resume, you applied, you probably had, something happening, someone called you back, something took place. And that was a different market than it is today. I don't think the right question is, will it get easier to job search? I think the question is, how should I adapt to the new market? And it's a new economy, right? Right now, we have jobs being automated, eliminated. You have jobs being augmented as well. And knowing the differences between all of these things is super important, because if you're looking for an admin job and you are having a tough time and you're asking this question, my answer to you is your job search will be impossible, because an admin job is eliminated 6 months ago by AI. And there are only a handful of companies out there that are not kind of adopting AI properly, and they're still hiring for jobs they shouldn't be hiring for. So there's that. Then if it's like, well, I want to do this job and I want to have the AI career progression of learning how to do the job more effectively, then the question is, well, how do I evolve my job search? How do I have a strategy? And the strategy is the most important thing, because your job search will actually be easier if you're the right fit and you post on LinkedIn, you talk to real people, you position your profile, and you learn how to actually have a strategy and utilize it and use it. And you don't spend 4 hours a day applying for jobs, but you spend half an hour a day connecting to people. Your job search is super easy. Like if you compare it to what you did before. So the question is, it isn't, will it get easier? It's, what do I have to do to evolve? And you have to evolve in your job search, because if you don't, you're going to be stuck doing the same thing, expecting different results. And we know what Einstein said about that. Not a good idea. Okay, so we've covered quite a lot in this half an hour live. I want to thank you for your time, and I appreciate the likes, guys, and I appreciate the questions. If you need help, little plug at the end, link in the description. You can go to howtojob.io. We'll create a free job report for you. You can talk to one of our coaches. You can talk to me. If there's time, I'm more than happy to jump on a call. If you do end up speaking to me and you are from these lives, tell me you're from these lives. I really appreciate that. It genuinely boosts my mood so much that people are actually watching these and learning from them. And I just want to say, you guys are the best. Honestly, the messages I get, the DMs I get, the LinkedIn connections I get from you watching my content and what we're trying to do as a business with How to Job, genuinely, I cannot explain how happy it makes us and makes me. It is literally one of the main reasons that I do this, which is getting a lot of messages and helping people, as well as us making money. Don't get it wrong in that way. We are a business. We do charge for some of our services, but we also give a lot of stuff for free. My pledge for 2026 this year has been to give more free content that rivals what people charge for in this industry. So we do have a lot of research that we give away for free. We do have a lot of 15-minute consultation calls that people use. And people have said to me many times, Milo, the consultation call that I've had with your team rivals what I've paid another career coach $500 for. And I'm thinking, what are you spending $500 on that rivals 15 minutes, or 15 minutes rivals that? So you have to be really careful about who you spend your money with when it comes to job search education, because there's a lot of people right now, and it's a side note, I'm going to do another live on this. Should you actually get a career coach? And tell me in the comments if you want me to talk about this, because there's a lot of people that spend money with career coaches and they just don't get anything. There are a ton of bad press articles about career coaches, and there's many in this industry. And I don't want to say competitors, because I think we're doing something so different at How to Job that we're more of like an AI research company now than a career coaching company. And I wouldn't classify myself as a career coach. I'm more of a strategist who just knows how companies think and how people should position themselves. I'm also neurodivergent, which basically means that I kind of think about the world in a different way, especially with corporate job search, how companies think. I can kind of give you an outside of the box angle. So again, shameless plug, link in the description, fill in the form, completely free, job report for you. And also Interviewly. Interviewly is our baby. We've been developing it for around 8 months now. We launched it in November of 2025. Interviewly has been absolutely amazing with the amount of content it's just generated for people. The amount of data we have on it right now is where you can do an interview for free, learn about it, learn about where your baseline is, how good you are, and how you can improve on your interviews. Like, do an Interviewly before a live interview. It's free, use it. Just tell me it's bad. Like, I welcome you to tell me it's not good. I'm so confident with it that I am in love with our product Interviewly, which has been absolutely amazing. And the amount of communication we get and the amount of messages we get from users on that has been phenomenal. I'm flabbergasted about how good it is, which is all kudos to my team. And if my team is watching, you guys are awesome. So appreciate that. Right. Okay. So we've covered quite a lot of stuff. Appreciate you and your time on this live, especially on this Sunday morning. connect with me, reach out to me, connect on the links below, and I will see you on the next live. Take care. Bye bye.